for Defence, Simon Coveney, will say a few words. We'll take a couple questions afterwards.
Good morning, everybody. And can I just say, before saying anything else, that in the last 12 hours, Ireland has lost a peacekeeper, has lost a soldier, and has lost somebody who has been working for his country and for the UN in an incident in Lebanon, where a 23-year-old young man, Private Sean Rooney, from Donegal in Ireland, has been killed. There are another 3 soldiers who were injured in that incident, one of them very seriously. And so I want to say that we are thinking of them this afternoon and today in advance of the final meeting of the Security Council, high-level meeting of the Security Council that Ireland will be involved in. And it's a reminder to all of us of the sacrifices that UN peacekeepers make across the world. They are people who every week put themselves in harm's way to protect people that they've never met in many cases, vulnerable populations in parts of the world that are torn apart by conflict. And it is a reminder of the ultimate sacrifice that some of them make in terms of the dangers that they operate within. And I think today also we should think about their families. Many families in different parts of the world who have loved ones, sons and daughters, working in uniform as peacekeepers, wearing a blue helmet, protecting populations, keeping warring parties apart. And this year, unfortunately, we have seen too much tragedy in the context of loss of life in UN peacekeeping missions. And we should not forget that it is here where the mandates are set and the political decisions are made to send these soldiers to different parts of the world to do the job of the international community, the job of the UN, to protect and save lives. And that's what Irish soldiers have been doing in UNIFIL in southern Lebanon since 1978. We have had 30,000 tours of duty in that time. We have lost 47 lives in that time, the highest losses of any country linked to UNIFIL. And unfortunately, in the last 12 hours, we have had to inform another family of a loss of life on peacekeeping duty. So I want to thank the Indian presidency today, who will have a minute's silence at the beginning of the Security Council meeting. And I also want to acknowledge all of the other countries who are significant contributors to peacekeeping missions around the world, who also, unfortunately, time and time again, have to inform families of the kind of tragedy that we've seen involving Irish troops in the last 12 hours. Can I also say that, given that this is the last opportunity that I'll have as a foreign minister and as a defence minister to speak in the context of our 2-year membership of the Security Council, that because of the issues that I've just spoken about, I don't want to go into too much detail about our experience over the 2 years, apart from saying that it has been at times a deeply frustrating period. I think the Security Council has unfortunately failed more than it's succeeded, but it has also succeeded in some very important areas. In recent weeks, ensuring that humanitarian access is very much part of sanctions in the future, ensuring that we continue to get aid into places like northwestern Syria, ensuring that we can shine a light on the humanitarian abuses that we've seen in places like Ethiopia and Yemen and Syria and other parts of the world, ensuring that we can continue to focus diplomatic efforts on trying to bring an end to Russian aggression in Ukraine and the appalling conditions and brutality that civilians are living through, driving millions out of the country, as we have seen over the last 10 months. So this has been a time of enormous human suffering over the last 2 years, while we have been privileged to be on the Security Council. And I hope that we have made a contribution as a small but very vocal country that supports passionately multilateralism through the UN. In many ways, it is the heart of our foreign policy, the decisions that are made here. And for us to have the privilege to sit on the Security Council for such a pivotal, if tragic, period in human history has been a real honour and a privilege. So thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions that people may have.
We'll go first to Yvonne Murray from RTE.
Hi, Minister Coveney. Yvonne Murray, RTE. I wanted to ask, it's been reported that 7 projectiles pierced the vehicle that the personnel were travelling in. Can you confirm that it was an armoured vehicle that they were travelling in?
Yeah, so my understanding is that there were 2 armoured vehicles that left our base camp, if you like, for Beirut. There were 4 personnel in each vehicle. The vehicles, for whatever reason, got separated, and then one of the vehicles was surrounded by what I can only describe as a mob who were very aggressive towards the vehicle. Shots were fired, and unfortunately one of our personnel lost his life, and another was very badly injured and was operated on overnight and is currently in a very critical condition. But I don't want to go into too much detail beyond that because we need to have a very full investigation. There will essentially be 3 investigations on the back of this incident. Ireland will hold its own investigation. The UN will have an investigation, as of course they always need to have after an incident like this, and then there will be an investigation locally in Lebanon as well. This morning I've already spoken to the Lebanese Foreign Minister and the Lebanese Defence Minister, and I have got absolute assurance that we will have full cooperation in the investigations that take place to ensure that we understand what happened here, why it happened, so that we can take the appropriate action.
We'll go to Maggie from
Mr. Minister, Margaret Bashir with Voice of America. An occurrence such as this is very rare in UNIFIL. Do you have any indication whether Ireland was the target or the United Nations? Did they know they were Irish peacekeepers in the vehicles? And Hezbollah has seemed to say they are not responsible. So do you have any indication as to who or why?
Well, I've seen a comment from Hezbollah which said that the killing was not intentional. So let's wait and see who's responsible. I mean, I think it is true to say that UNIFIL has been a relatively safe mission. Ireland has not had a fatality in UNIFIL for more than 20 years. The last time was in the year 2000, and that was an accident, and there was a fatality the year before that. But by the standards of many other peacekeeping missions, actually UNIFIL has been relatively calm. There has, of course, been some tension in terms of UNIFIL patrols being prevented from travelling to certain parts of southern Lebanon. I don't think this was about that. And I think we really have to wait and see what this was actually about. Whether it was a deliberate targeting, whether it was an accident that got out of hand, we simply don't know. What we do know is that we have a grieving family this morning who've lost a 23-year-old son, whose father also lost his life when he was in the Irish Defence Forces. And we have another young man fighting for his life, a 22-year-old. So we will demand the truth in relation to what happened here. The families deserve that, and of course the UN system has to understand what happened here to ensure that we protect and manage risk around our peacekeepers in that region.
You have to go into the council.
One last question, if I can, Mr. Minister. One last question. Is it true?
Well, we'll be pushing hard to get out.
Is it true the vehicle had broken down and was separated from the rest of the convoy? Or were they going through an unusual